So, Michael, why are we here today?
Well, that's a pretty loaded question. After 12 years of providing service to a First Nations agency, a social service agency in the Valley, I was canceled. And after I brought up an elder was harassing my staff and asking for help and support and receiving none. This went on for 8 months. It wasn't just a once or twice thing. And it just got to the point where we liked the kid that was with us, the youth. I said, he can stay, but you just got to ask the grandmother to go away. Just leave us alone, because it was becoming. I was getting phone calls and texts every day, and she was affecting all the family members, and this was all about money. She had been given money to drive her grandson around for months, several months, and she was told it's a temporary thing. And once he had a home set up for him and everything was getting stabilized, it would end. And as soon as she was cut off, it changed. And she set about trying to destroy the placement. And I think the goal was, we knew the goal was, for her to get the money back. And at one point, I even said to the agency, the ministry, I said, just give her the money back. She'll just leave us alone. She'll go away. She'll stop harassing not just us, but she was tearing them apart and blaming them for what happened to her grandson. And I had a meeting with them, and I eventually said they wouldn't do anything. They wouldn't help us. So we had no support there. And I just said, we're done, because the staff is like, their backs are against the wall. I was told in the end that I didn't understand trauma, and it's like, I'm sorry, but after 12 years of taking care of almost 30 kids, I got it. I understand it. And I said, can you find a place for the youth to go? And this will stop her, it'll shut it down, and we'll just have another kid come, and we'll just continue doing what we do. We lost pretty much communication after that. We had another youth arrive at another house, and high needs, autistic, nonverbal. He was self-harming nonstop, smashing his head through walls, not just into them, into tables, into cars, into light standards outside. We were doing everything we could. He arrived without meds, no safety gear, nothing. We had to order helmets. All I could find was a boxing helmet, so I got that for him to make sure his head was protected. I took the dad and one of my caregivers working with me. We went to Children's Hospital. Ended up, he did what he does in the middle of the waiting room, scared everybody. Security took him in. We ended up spending 14 hours in a padded room in Children's Hospital in Vancouver. They discharged him, which they should not have done. He should have been held for observation. We got minimal meds given to us, and we ended up going home and having another massive explosion, self-harm. I ended up having 4 staff. There was 4 of us working with him. And he would sleep maybe an hour, wake up screaming in the middle of the night. Things got a bit better when we worked with the dad to figure things out. What had worked, he said, with the past, with the mom. And we ended up, through that hospital visit though, what good came from that was we got a pediatrician in Chilliwack Hospital who referred us to another doctor, and then we ended up with a psychiatrist. And then we started working with the meds. Unfortunately, the meds would set him off. They didn't work so well. But that was the route they wanted to go. When I asked the dad, and I'd confirmed this with the social worker and my staff resource social worker, who actually had guardianship, who had the final say, and I was told it was the dad. They had let the dad sign the youth into care, and that was on them, the ministry, nothing to do with me or my group. And then when I talked to the dad and asked him what worked to calm him down so he'd stop harming himself, we were so afraid of him, like brain trauma or a concussion or something happening to him. And when you're standing there and you have a child just fly across the room and smash his head through a wall. And there's nothing you can do. Like, he's so fast, you can't even dive in to protect him somehow. And over again, multiple times during the day. It's just like everybody is just, you don't know what to do. And of course, the social workers and the staff resource worker went on Christmas vacation. No one there to help us. I had been sending messages and phone calls after that to my staff social worker and saying, this is what's happening. Like, this is what he's doing. Like, we need some help here. And got nothing. No response, no calls back, no text, no nothing. And so that didn't help us at all. We weren't getting a lot of help from anyone else at that point, except for medications, which made him hurt himself. So we then found out after that the dad wasn't the guardian, and he started to harm himself again. And the screaming and hurting and smashing his head through walls just escalated. But that was it. And there was a new agency that he was supposed to go to, did go to eventually, that was already predetermined before he came to us. And he went to them. I had offered all kinds of assistance. They could come to us and work with us while they learned about him. And their agency wouldn't allow that. So they went to them. And from what the dad has told me now is he showed up one day and his son's head was bleeding, his hand was bleeding. They wouldn't tell the dad anything about medications he was on, what was happening to him, why was head bleeding. And that's where he's still with that agency as far as I know. What happened right after that was I had letters given to me, emailed to me by the First Nations or Aboriginal agency up in Chilliwack or Abbotsford, letting me know they're closing 2 of my homes. They didn't have a need for any more homes, which anyone who works in this business knows is not true. It's a lie. It was payback from me pushing back at a meeting we had outlining that we had no support from the grandmother harassing, the bigoted, racist comments she was saying to my staff. My staff, they talked to me about not understanding their culture. But everybody I worked with, and I made sure I had people come from all over different backgrounds from around the world to share their lives and their cultures with the kids so they'd have a broader view and not be like stuck to this is where you come from, this is all you have in life. We had, Persian, Italian, Sikh from India. We had someone from Portugal. We had Zimbabwe, Nigeria, and all over North America. So we are a culturally diverse group of people providing services to these kids and support and care. Some of the kids we had for 5 years or more, they become like your kids, right? You care about them, you love them, you want them to do well. And then my final 2 homes, I had 4 homes in total out here. I got another email saying they're canceling me after we had that meeting, that they're canceling my contracts, and that was it. And they're going to be moving the kids at some point, which is an important part here. If the kids had been in any way in danger, they would have swooped in and taken the kids right away from the house, from school, wherever they would have been. But they left the kids with us for another month and a half while they did what they did in the background. I was trying to communicate with them saying, leave our kids where they are. This is their home. They've been there. One of them's been there 5 years. These are the same caregivers who are taking care of them. And I said, your issue then is with me speaking up. So I'll move away. I'll hand the company over to someone and I'll be gone. Just don't take the kids from their homes. This is their safe place. And everything I came up with, they just found a reason to not accept it. All the while in their letters to me, they were all like, we appreciate everything you've done for our kids. You were great and all this stuff. But they wouldn't do it. I had said my lawyers would, in an hour, they'd have the paperwork drawn up. I transferred company assets, everything. I'd be gone. Just leave the kids. and they wouldn't do it. So that ended that, and then they've moved the kids as of beginning of March 12th. They're gone, and unfortunately, where they've gone to, how do I say this nicely? It's a shit show. The staff haven't had their background clearances done or approved by the hub, which we all have to do to work in care. And it comes from Victoria. It's like a police background check. And especially if you come from a different country, you have to get that country to do the background check for you. So if you're in the States, you need an FBI check and then the city you lived in. And if you've lived in multiple cities after the age of 18, longer than 6 months, you have to get one from every city. If you've lived in India, you lived in London, you've lived in Russia, you still have to get one. This takes time. And I know they set the house up very quickly for one of the kids, and then they threw the other boy the last minute in there as well. And I know it's not going well. I also know some of the staff over there, one of them showed up drunk for work. And that's not how we operate. This is, to me, a dereliction of duty to those children, their well-being, their safety, everything else. And this agency that he's with now, the kid both boys are with, I know one of them has called me and he wants out. I've made some calls, but I'm limited to what I can do now. And they did not want to go. They wanted to stay with us because this was their home. You know, they were cared for years. And one of the boys was 5 years. The other one was pretty new to us, but with all the issues he had, he was safe. And he was able to calm himself. And he even said, I finally have a home. And the social workers just, one's working to help us somewhat, help the youth, but the other one's doing nothing. And this is a problem we've come across. Some of the social workers haven't shown up for 7 months or more with some of the kids we've had. We don't see them. In that agency out in the First Nations agency, there's an issue with staffing. They can't keep them, they fire them. I don't know what goes on. People leave right away. Once they get in there for a couple of months, they're gone. And it's just been going on for years. And it's just how they treat people. So, I've tried to do everything I can to maintain everything. Not just the kids leaving, but 15 staff lost their jobs, just like that. And the First Nations ministry is always on about how they care about the people. The caregivers are essential. They had no thought, no comments about what's happening to these people. They all lost their jobs. And, again, it shows they don't care. That's the end comment, I guess, about that. The other comment I'd like to make is what is acceptable for one group, but not acceptable for another. So for the First Nations, like the grandmother and elder, to call people the N-word who are black, gorillas, and get the grandson to start saying that, call them pedophiles in a care team meeting with the social workers and the counselors and the EPI program people, which is really psychosis program people, was absolutely horrible. But then it was just brushed off as, oh, it's okay, we get said all the time, that gets said. And it's like, no, it's not okay. Especially when you're part of a group of people, you're insulated in a way. And you're protected by that group. And your economic well-being is also protected by that group. But when you're someone who's sort of on the outside, comments like that can absolutely destroy a person. And for the First Nations ministry to just brush it off as nothing. Either they don't understand anything outside their culture and how it works, or they just don't give a shit. And this can impact someone horribly for the rest of their lives. It can destroy them. And I thought that was just by the staff resource worker actually saying that to me. I get said that all the time to me. It's no big deal. And it's like, yeah, it is. And it showed the lack of care for the work that we do and who we are. We're there to support them and their kids and the families. And it just showed they don't give a shit. You know, that wasn't good.